Live. It's 93.3 Nairobi and it's in Barnes. Great to be in your company today. We are coming to you live in a short while on our social media platforms at Hope FM Live. So be sure to join us there. But before we go too far, my name is Sharon Aitore Wangeju.
Favored Frank is my name. And of course, just appreciating your company this wonderful morning. Thank you so much for joining in. I can see Dennis Shisiali. Thank you so much. I can see Akombo Jacob. Thank you so much for joining in. Jacob Mwakuli, I can see right there as well. Thank you so much for activating. Sylvia Musa, thank you. Joshua Lima Atinga, good morning to you. Selba Baraza, thank you. Sami Kanto, thank you so much for joining in.
All right, so it's time for the corporate conversation, and we did allude to our conversation today being financial investments. Basically, just a build-up of a conversation we started last week, where we were talking about, ventures of investment or
income streams,
as you would call it. And today we have the privilege of having with us Dr. Karau. We were just having a conversation and wondering, is he one of us?
He is.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
Dr. James Karau is a lecturer. He is an economist. He is so many things.
He's a
businessman.
Yeah.
He is a
coach.
show. He's a show host.
Yes. An author. Many hats, I tell you.
Absolutely. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good to have you.
Good to have you guys.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Happy to be back, though you're saying that I'm part of the staff.
Yeah.
You need to qualify that. And yet they don't even have an appointment letter. Or there are no appointment letters for volunteers.
Don't tell them. Dr. Karau and Frank do a show on Hope TV.
Yes.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's the Overflow Show. That is where you live your life in abundance every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Absolutely.
Of course, with the one and only Dr. James Karau.
Please watch Hope TV and you can actually follow the conversations as well.
But then today we have a repeat of the Overflow Show in China. Yeah, so you can plug in as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What time today?
And they can catch it across the social media platforms as well.
Yes, sure.
Just in case you missed the repeat or the show on Saturday, feel free to catch it online.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Dr.
Yes, Sharon.
We have just given a very rough introduction of you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little?
No, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
But maybe I need to add that I'm a dean of students at Machakos University.
Yes. Yeah.
I teach economics there. I'm a senior lecturer. And besides that, I'm a businessman. I one of my legs is in the real estate. I do a number of things in the real estate. I run a real estate company. Yes, and I'm an author. And more so, I'm a speaker. I'm a preacher of the gospel. I'm born again. I fellowship with Sitam Kitengera. Yes. And I am married to a psychologist by the name Rose Gondi. And we have two wonderful children, Joy and Joe.
Wow. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So let's dive into our conversation today on financial investments.
Yes.
I'm sure you have a lot of information in terms of research and data that is out there.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where we should start.
Yeah. I'm even wondering whether I will be able to package everything within 45 minutes, but I'll try. And when it comes to wealth creation, I'm amazed at the paradox of wealth. And just to start you off, do you know, according to World Bank, about 8.5% of the world population, which is about 8.2 billion, live in what you call extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is anyone who spends less than $2.15 per day. Those are people who are extremely poor. 2.15.
If you convert that, 200 shillings.
Yeah, if you convert it to Kenyan shillings, $1 is around 120 or 130 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 200 shillings. So people who spend less than 200 shillings live below poverty line, what you call extreme poverty. And 8.5, that's almost 700 million of the world population. But the interesting part of that is that, and that ranking is for the low-income countries. $2.15 is for the low-income countries. It's slightly different for high-income countries. It could be around 6 point something US dollars.
Yes.
But the interesting part of that is that three quarter of those people who live in extreme poverty are found in sub-Saharan Africa.
Three-quarter.
Okay.
Sub-Saharan Africa. But the paradox is here, and this is what I find interesting. I don't know whether you know the richest man on earth today. His name is Elon Musk.
Yes.
His name is Elon Musk,
Yeah.
the richest man on earth today, at least as per December 2024. But interestingly, this guy was born and raised in Africa,
Okay.
in sub-Saharan Africa. So the poorest can produce the richest man on earth.
Wow.
Another interesting paradox that I find is that some countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, are very rich. And I'll pick one country, Burundi. Burundi is rich with minerals,
Okay.
gold, nickel, nibbits. It's rich with wildlife. It's rich with arable land. It's rich with, what can I say, water resources. In fact, it hosts one of the second largest freshwater lake in the world.
Okay.
That's Lake Tanganyika.
Yes.
Despite of that, it suffers from food shortages. In fact, last year, 2024, it was ranked the second poorest country in the world. In fact, Burundi has consistently been ranked as one of the poorest countries in the world. So rich, yet very poor. I'll pick another country that's very contrasting.
Yes.
This country is, half of it is desert. It is a mountainous country. The climate is not favorable for food. It doesn't have natural rich endowment, resource endowment like Burundi. That's Israel.
Yes.
But did you know Israel last year, 2024, was ranked 34th richest nation in the world. Poor naturally, but
Yes.
very rich. So the question is, what is it that countries that are not literally endowed end up being the richest? What is it that they do? So we need to examine their financial model, because wealth is created using principles.
Okay.
Actually, life is governed by principles, and principles are no respect of people. It's either you abide by principles that govern life, that govern wealth creation,
Yes.
or if you don't abide by them, you end up being poor. So we need to ask ourselves, how come Elon Musk, born and brought up in sub-Saharan Africa, faced challenges that every African child would face
Yes.
in South Africa, ended up being the richest man on earth? How come Burundi, so rich yet so poor? And how come Israel, largely semi-desert, with an unfavorable climate, end up being very rich? In fact, it's an importer of fresh food, among other things.
Yes.
I was interested to learn that the average dairy cow in Israel, as per last year, produced the highest average amount of milk per cow.
Okay.
Why? What is the financial model, the financial investment model of the rich people, the billionaires of this world, that actually apply? What principles do they apply? So let's delve over there. But I want to draw a biblical reference, because the Bible has these principles.
Yes.
I want to draw your attention to Matthew 25 from verse 14 to 30. A very interesting story. And it's a parable of the bags of gold. Other versions, you say the parable of talents. And you know the story.
Yeah.
That the kingdom of heaven is like a master who went on a journey and entrusted his wealth to three people, three of his servants. One was given 1 bag of gold. The other was given 2 bags of gold. The other was given 5 bags of gold.
Yes.
And when he came back after a long time, he held them to account. And the Bible reckons the one who was given 5 had multiplied 2 times, got 10. And he said, you gave me 5, I'm now giving you back.
Yes.
He invested. The other one who was given 2 gave back 4. But the one who was given 1 actually started by complaining. He said, I know you're a hard man.
Yeah.
You reap where you have not sowed.
Yeah.
You gather where you have not scattered seed. I
Yes.
knew you and I was afraid.
Eh.
And you know what the master said? You wicked and lazy servant.
Yes.
Yes.
At least you'd have deposited my money in a bank. I would have earned some interest.
Eh.
But the others were told, the ones who were given 2 and 5 were told, good and faithful servant. So what are the lessons can we learn from that story? What are the principles can we learn? Because it's about investing. When God created man on earth, he said, go and multiply and fill the earth. And part of that calling is to multiply the resources that God has entrusted. What are some of the lessons, some of the insights that you can get from that biblical story? Number 1, we are stewards.
Right.
Okay.
We are not the real owners of what you have been entrusted. Let the devil not deceive you that what you have is yours. it is the master. The Bible says everything on earth is his.
Yes.
The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. So we are stewards
Yes.
who have been called to manage property. Secondly, each of us is given according to his ability.
Okay.
The three servants, the Bible records that they were given according to their ability. That's why some of us have more naturally, others have less, according to our ability.
Yeah.
And thirdly, we shall be held to account. We shall be held accountable. You are given this body. What have you done with it? You are given time. You have given these resources. What have you done with it? And last but not least, we are required to be faithful. What does that imply? We are required to multiply the resources that God has given us, so that when we are held accountable, we shall say we multiplied.
Yes.
So that it shall be thought of us, it shall be said of us that we are good and faithful. But let's scrutinize the servant who was given only one bag of gold.
Yes.
What are his characteristics? Because those are the characteristics that actually perpetuate poverty.
Okay.
Let's examine here. What is it about poor people that confine them to poverty, that make them not able to invest financially? And number one, the Bible records they have a sense of ingratitude. He started by complaining. They complain about the environment. Right now in Kenya, they are complaining about harsh economic times.
Yes.
And yet in the same harsh economic times, others are making money. People are thriving. People are using fuel guzzlers. They are whiners. They are complainers. They suffer from ingratitude. They don't appreciate what God has already given them. They look at things that are beyond their control, which is not strategic.
Okay.
You know, even if you went to a desert, Kalahari's desert,
Yes.
you find people who are wealthy. And you know, Christ said in the Bible, the poor, you always have them. Wherever you go, despite the circumstances, most likely you have the rich and the poor.
Yes.
That's why the richest man on earth today came from Africa. He was actually born in Africa. He acquired his basic education in Africa. His primary and secondary school education was in Africa. So the same, and I would imagine that time in South Africa, people are complaining.
Yes.
The same thing here. So they complain. Secondly, they are not risk takers. They are risk averse. The Bible records he was afraid. He was afraid. And people who are risk averse don't invest. They suffer from fear. What if something happens? What if I lose?
It's the fear of the unknown.
They are known. They have that kind of a mindset. And thirdly, they are lazy. Laziness brings poverty.
Yes.
And last but not least, they are weakened. The Bible, he was called lazy and weakened. Those are two bedfellows. They are close cousins. They are close relatives. Laziness and wickedness perpetuate poverty. Where poverty thrives, there is laziness. There is wickedness. The Bible says no one can be established through wickedness. You can't prosper through wickedness. And even the people who are on self-deception that they can acquire wealth through wicked ways is just a matter of time. The bubble you burst, as it has always burst, you'll not be the first one to burst on them. That you cannot be established. You cannot thrive on wickedness. So 4 things about
poor people.
Poverty that perpetuate poverty, vicious cycle of poverty. We have seen number 1 is they are
ingratitude.
That's ingratitude. They are ungrateful. They don't appreciate what they have. They are complainers. They are whiners. Secondly,
they are risk averse.
They are risk averse.
Yes.
They are like, and what if I lost the money if I invested?
Yes.
And thirdly, they are lazy. They are lazy. They don't work hard, idling and wasting time. Even when they go to office, going to office doesn't mean that you are not lazy. You could be going there to watch YouTube, doing other things. You can't account for the time that you are in the office. And last but not least, they are wicked, and that results to unfaithfulness. They are not faithful with what God has given them. Let's examine the behavior of good investors. The people who invest, the second and the third servant who multiplied twofold. Number 1, the Bible says they are good people. They are good. They are good.
What defines good, Dr. Ari?
Good define good.
Like how would we?
A good person.
Yeah. Yes. How?
Someone who lives by godly principles of wealth creation. Good in the perspective of financial investment.
Okay.
That you're doing it in a good way.
All right.
That you're investing in a good way. That you're not a thief. You are not weakened. You know, the other one is weakened. These are good people. They are morally upright. Even where financial discipline is concerned. They are good. They adhere to the ethics to the business ethics, to the moral principles of doing business. Those are good people. Secondly, they are faithful. Whatever they have been given, they run and they work on it. In fact, the Bible records the one who was given 5, immediately he went to work and starts investing that money. Immediately, they work, they are diligent people.
Yes.
Actually, if you observe the habit of people who are good investors, they wake up early. And sometimes they sleep late. But the habits of the poor people, they wake up late, they sleep early.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yeah, sure.
And they are faithful. And they are faithful. And they multiply. They multiply. The Bible says good and faithful servant. And thirdly, they are risk takers. For you to invest, you must take risk. If you don't take risks, nature rewards action.
Yes.
If you don't take risk, then investment belongs to risk takers. Look at the great investors of the world today. So they are the great investors. Let's look at what are the consequences of the servant who never invested. What are the consequences when you don't invest financially? Number one, even what you have, you end up losing it. You become poor. It perpetuates poverty. And secondly, you suffer, you languish in poverty. You know, you was thrown into darkness where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. That sounds like poverty. What's like poverty? That's a portion of poverty. That you suffer the consequences of economic deprivation. What about the rewards of investment, of being a good steward?
Yes.
Number one, you multiply. You are given more. You become richer. You add to your riches. The Bible says that the blessing of the Lord makes us rich and adds no sorrow.
Right.
And that leads us number two, that they were told, come and share your master's happiness. When you invest in God's way,
Yes.
you share the master's happiness, the true happiness. The blessing of the Lord
Yes.
make us rich and adds no sorrow. But wicked income brings trouble, the Bible says. But the big question is, and that's where we come now in, how do you invest?
Exactly.
The Bible doesn't really go into
a
the
big
final
question.
details. How did these two people, the one who was given 2 talents, 2 bags of gold, and the one who was given 5 bags of gold, what is it that they did? So that after a long time, one thing I want to say, wealth creation is a process.
Okay.
You don't get it quick. You don't make quick shortcuts. You cut you short in wealth creation. It's a process. It's a process. It's a journey. In fact, the Bible says he returned after a long time. It took a long time
Yes.
for them to make wealth. So it's a process. So how did they go about it? I want to paint a picture of a cash flow quadrant. There are 4 major types of investments, 4 major types of income earning that speaks into income streams.
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki calls it the cash flow quadrant.
Yes.
We have the left-hand side. It's divided into 4 components, like a circle. So we have 4 hemispheres. We have on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side.
Yes.
And majority of us, increasingly, many people begin with what I would call employment. So the first, on the top of the left hemisphere, we have E for employment.
Okay.
Down there, on the left, the second hemisphere at the bottom, we have self-employment. That most of us start with employment. Even the richest people in the world today, most of them started with somewhere. Most of them have started with employment.
Yes.
And if not self-employment, if not employment, self-employment. Then from there, you graduate to the on the right heart hemisphere. On the top, we have, let me first of all go back to the left bottom. We have self-employment or small businesses. I will explain further what that means. Small businesses. On the right hand side, at the top, we have what we call big businesses or the business owner. And on the bottom of the right hemisphere, we have the investor or the entrepreneur.
Okay.
Those 4 quadrants speak into multiple income streams. And let's look at the first one. You all know, and I want to believe you are employed by Hope Media. So this one is very easy for you.
Yes.
This is where what are the major features of people who are employed? They own a job. Just like you own a job, I also own a job. Secondly, You work for money.
Okay.
You're working for money.
Okay.
You own a job.
As one who's employed,
Yeah,
you're working for money.
You're working for money.
Okay.
You're working for money. You want to contrast them. You own a job, you work for money.
Yes.
Yeah. You are controlled by your employer.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, we go to self-employment. Self-employment is like a doctor running his own clinic.
Okay.
It's like a lawyer running his own legal firm.
Okay.
It's like a matatu driver driving his own matatu.
All right.
Initially, he was employed. So, what are the major features here? One, they also own a job, only that they have employed themselves. Even if you're running your own small business, like a kiosk,
Yes.
a grocer in a grocery, you also own a job. You have employed yourself.
Okay.
There's not much difference. And therefore, you work for money. You work for money. Let's go to the right hemisphere.
Okay.
At the top there, we have people who own big businesses. What's the difference between the small business and the big business? The difference is this person who owns a big business has put systems in place to work for him in his absence. That the business can run without you being there.
Okay.
You have a management system that runs in your absence. And therefore, you own a system that works for you.
Wow.
And secondly, money works for you. You can afford to wake up in the morning, go and play golf. Money is working for you. Yeah, that's the difference. That these people have put things in place. And last but not least, we have investor. At
That's
the bottom
lowest.
of the right hemisphere,
You
we
call
have
them investor or
entrepreneur.
Okay.
These are people who own multiple income streams.
Okay.
They don't just invest in one area, but invest in many. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 11, verse 2, invest in 7 ventures. Yet, yes, 8 ventures, because you don't know the disaster
Yes.
that can come on the land. So we are being encouraged by the Bible to invest in many ventures. So these people invest in multiple income streams,
Okay.
and money work for them. They don't work for money because they have invested in multiple income streams.
Wow.
The good news is you can start from employment all the way, self-employment, a business owner, to being an investor. And many people have gone that way. That's a good news. But you must excel from one quadrant to another. Unfortunately, there are many people who stagnate in one quadrant forever.
Okay.
They are employed, they remain until retirement, and after retirement, they have nothing to show. The moment the retirement comes, they have no income flow because they are not invested. But there are people who get employed, invest in businesses, invest in multiple income streams, such that it reaches a time, continuing working is a hobby, not to put food on the table.
Yes.
You'll be surprised some of the richest people in the world today, they grew up the lander. They grew up the lander. I know of a Kenyan today.
Yes.
He went asking for a job. He had actually a big one, a university degree. And he was told in this company, the only job that is here many years ago is for a storekeeper.
Okay.
And because of the right attitude,
He took it.
he took it.
Okay.
And let me tell you, to cut a long story short, today he's a CEO of one of the largest companies we have in this country. He's one of the richest paid CEOs in Kenya. The last time I checked, he earns between 5 to 10 million. From a storekeeper to a CEO
Okay.
of a blue chip company that is doing very well. That's the story of many people who rise up from where they are working to the highest level and invest in many areas.
Okay.
Wow.
You'll be surprised. We have Equity Bank. Equity Bank has been a model. In fact, it has attracted universities to study the case of Equity Bank. It is started as a building society. It has attracted international attention of great scholars who have come to Kenya to study the Equity Bank model. It was a moribund building society that at one time was declared insolvent by Central Bank of Kenya. But today it's a multinational. What is the investment model that they applied? Equity Bank has applied. It boils down to the same thing. Even look at the billionaires of this world. There are certain things they do to be where they are.
Right.
Yes.
Dr. Karau, a question comes to my mind. You mentioned employment and self-employment, big business and entrepreneur. Those are the four spheres, if I
And I
should
can even
call
give
it
an
so.
example, for example, before
Okay.
maybe you ask your question. Let's take an example of a driver. You're employed maybe as a conductor, a bus conductor,
Okay.
or a driver. You work very hard, financial discipline, among other things. You save, you buy your own bus, and you start driving. You move from the first quadrant of being employed to self-employed. Now this is your bus, but you're the one driving it.
Yes.
Then you work so hard, apply the right principles of wealth creation. You buy a number of buses, start a transport company, employ drivers, set systems in place. And you have such bus companies in this country. Systems in place, a big business now. You own the business, and now you own a big business. There are systems in place. This is a transport company. It's learning for you. And it can learn in your absence.
Okay.
Then the same person can sell what you call franchise. And their companies, their bus companies that sell franchise.
Yes.
You tell people, you can now use my name. And there are several bus companies like that. But you pay loyalties.
Right.
Like now you have a business, you have another extra income. Some of the hotels you see around, like Java, like KFC, those are brands. Those are franchises that people pay. So that's how you grow from being employed. It's like from being a teacher to owning a school, to owning a stream of schools, to investing with a franchise where people pay loyalties to use the name of your school.
Dr. Ari, is it an issue of mindset where you have an individual who feels that this is what I was cut for? I was
Yes.
cut for employment. Like I am, I don't know if you've heard people say, I'm not called into business. I'm in the local scenes, they say, huyu ako na mkono ya biashara.
Yeah.
And the other one seemingly doesn't have it. So is it a question of mindset?
I like that question because it takes us to the 5 principles of financial investment model.
Okay.
By the way, anything that you do for people has a business angle.
Okay.
Name anything.
Okay.
You know, people think that biashara is only when you are doing certain trades, like hardware,
Okay.
selling commodities.
Yes.
Anything, even what you are doing, it's a business. Actually, you are selling your services, talk media. Anything is business. But let's go through, because that question is on its wall with the 5 principles of financial investment.
Okay.
5 P's of financial investment model. The moment you apply the principles, you're on the right side of principles. Nature will smile at you
Okay.
and you reward you.
Okay.
But when you go against the principles,
Yes.
nature will be against you.
Okay.
Whenever there is action, there's equal and opposite reaction.
Okay.
One of the principles that we know. Now, principle number 1, and these are the principles that have been used by financial gurus, financial investors, big corporations, big companies, and they have worked. The first one is to do with your purpose. What is the purpose for your investment?
Okay.
That has to do with your motivation. Why are you doing it? You know, everybody was created for a purpose. And unless you identify the purpose for which you are created, you could be pursuing the wrong purpose. And you hustle. And you struggle. And it becomes difficult for you. So, and there are about 3 to 4 levels of purpose. The first one is just engaging in economic activities for the sake of it. You're just transacting. You don't mind about whether you are making profit or not. And there are many people who are in that space.
Is it
They
a
just do
hobby?
business.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
They're busy.
Yeah, they're busy. Their concern is, did you report to work today? Yes. Did you transact? Yes. No records.
No, nothing.
No, but they are very busy. There are many businesses that don't even break even, but they
Yes.
keep people occupied.
Eh-heh.
And that's where they stagnate. Their main concern is, we are busy. We are doing some economic activities. They are rolling mass that gathers mammals. The second level is the profit level,
Okay.
where now you are concerned, not just doing things, but you want, am I profiting? Am I making profit to sustain the business?
Yes.
Am I breaking even? And that's a good space.
Okay.
But that is not enough to become a truly significant investor. It may guarantee you financial success, but profit-minded business is not good enough. You need to go to the 3rd level of purpose, and that is social transformation.
Okay.
The billionaires of this world no longer aim at just profit maximization. Look at some of the multinationals. They have a social transformation agenda. For example, if you read the vision of Equity Banks today, Equity Group of Holdings, it's no longer to make money. It's about social prosperity, livelihoods of people. If you look at some of the big billionaires in the world today, like Bill Gates, they have a lot of projects. They are what are they called?
Philanthropists.
Yeah, they give back to the society.
Okay.
It's no longer driven by profits for your individual satisfaction. It is now for the social transformation. And the highest level is spiritual transformation. You don't just want to transform the social lives of people, but you want to transform the spiritual lives of people.
Okay.
When wealth investment, financial investment is a form of giving back to God. It's a form of worship to God. So purpose is very, very critical. Why are you in it? Purpose speaks into vision. And where there is vision backed by faith, there is provision. There is no area, there's no gift that you cannot transform into business. The challenge we have today, and I was talking in another forum where I was saying we need to introduce enterprise as a course, entrepreneurship as a course for every discipline. We need to teach lawyers how can this law degree be converted into an enterprise. We need to teach doctors how can you convert being a doctor. We need to teach everyone. It should be a core course in the university because you can commercialize any discipline. Even as a cook, some of the richest people ended up doing people who do, like the founder of KFC, Colonel Sanders. If you look at his story, he commercialized his recipe and he founded KFC. So there's no way you can say mimi sikuzaliwa na mkono wa biashara. Secondly,
just hold it there, daktari. Hakuna kitu kama mkono wa biashara. It's a nice place to take a break at. We'll be back in a few. Let's get to business.
The Corporate Hub on Activate. Your catalyst for economic growth.
Absolutely. We just have 10 minutes to 9. We're having an amazing conversation, financial investments, and we are joined by Dr. James Karau, who's helping us unpack this conversation. Dr. Karau, you're talking about the 5 P's of financial investments.
Financial investment model.
Yeah.
And we have just discussed P number 1, which is purpose.
Yes.
That purpose is what attracts wealth. Purpose is what generates wealth.
Yes.
Purpose speaks into vision. Then we have potential, the next P. Then we have products. Then we have partnership. And then we have performance. Let's look at the second P. We have done the first P. The second P speaks into potential. Potential is very, very important because we are intrinsically and extrinsically endowed. We have internal resources and external resources. As a human being, each and every one of us has been given a gift and a talent. Nobody comes to this world without an ability.
Okay.
And as the Bible says, your gift will make a way for you. Your wealth is in your gift and talent. In fact, don't look far.
Yes.
What is it that you can do so easily? There is something everybody was born to do, certain things and do them all. The challenge, and this is what attracts poverty, when you are a jack of all trades and a master of none. Poor people are trying to hustle, doing everything.
Yes.
Look at generally people who have made it economically. They pick like one line or two lines and they run with it. And especially where they are involved.
Yes.
It is only when they reach at the fourth quadrant where they are going to own multiple streams of income that they can invest in many things, but they are not used in those things. They are earning passive income. Other people are investing running them. But when you are the one doing it, what is this one thing that you are gifted in? Invest in it. Go for skills upgrade.
Yes.
Run with it. And I can tell you, it will make a way for you. It will make wealth for you.
So it will speak into the other streams.
Yeah, it will speak into other streams. And especially in in employment. You know why many people don't excel in their employment? Unfortunately, many people have not found their purpose or their niche.
Okay.
They are pursuing that which is not, they are not gifted in. I have someone who said the other day, I was told that he said the other day, he's earning some good money, but he said, were it not for having to put food on the table, I would have resigned long time ago. Why? That's not his gift. But once you find your gifting,
Yes.
your talent, and no wonder this parable is called the parable of the talent. Once you find what you are good in, run with it. I can tell you, because you are passionate with it, you are passionate about it, you love it, you do very well. It's the late Steve Jobs who said, if you want to do something great, look for something you love doing. That's what the Bible says in the book of Colossians. Whatever you do it wholeheartedly as unto the Lord. Unto the Lord speaks into motivation. You're not doing it for other people to please your boss. You are doing it as unto the Lord. And that's how, when you are faithful in your workplace, in whatever you do, in your business, imagine nature cannot help but elevate you from one level to another. That's why it is written that a skillful man will not be served before an obscure people.
Yes.
We serve before kings. That's what happens. What is your potential? Secondly, part of potential is our natural resource endowment. What do we have as a country?
Yes.
What do you have? And what are the opportunities that I have? There are always opportunities. As long as you have time,
Yes.
there are always opportunities. And you know, some of the opportunities comes with wrapped with overalls that are not very attractive.
They don't look nice.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. Some of the people have made a lot of wealth by taking opportunities. and converting them into a gold mine. And that's a story for another day.
Yes.
But you have to ask yourself, it's like when Moses was complaining to God and saying, you are telling me to deliver the Israelites. Was he complaining about that he doesn't speak eloquently? And God told him, what is in your hands? Use whatever is in your hands. The stuff he was holding. What are we holding as unto people?
Forget about eloquence.
Forget about eloquence.
Yeah.
What is it that God has given you? What skills do you have? What experiences do you have? Rich countries, but are very poor. They are rich with oil, they are rich with minerals,
Yes.
but they are very poor because of mismanagement. The question of potential is very, very important.
Okay.
Let's go to that P because of time. The product.
Product.
In which product are you investing? Products are very, very important. And products are at different levels.
Yes.
And when we talk about products, they can be categorized into 3 categories. One is to do with goods that are tangible and services that are not tangible. Traditionally, we categorize product into goods and services.
Services.
But there's another product that has come up that is not very easy to explain, the digital product. Would it say it's a good or a service? The digital, the online product. And we should come to that later on. So, again, it depends. What kind of a product are you investing in? Is it raw materials, what you have extracted in the raw form? Generally, less developing countries have a tendency to export things that are not fully processed. Generally, poverty-stricken people give things that are not very processed. So we talk about unskilled services.
So they give out the raw materials.
Let's call it, even in terms of services, it's unskilled service. But there's another level whereby it becomes semi-processed. At least you have converted this maize, you have harvested it, now it is maize. You have planted it, now it is maize.
It's a
and
second
it's
product.
converted into maize flour. That's a second level, for example,
Yes.
so to say. And then from that level, you can now convert it into a cake. From wheat to a cake. It will sell more than the maize that was in the garden.
Yes.
That's how you process products. The people who have made a lot of wealth, if you look at what they did through invention and innovation, they have actually invested in products, fully processed them. You look at the demands of the people. What is that people want? Through invention and innovation. Today, the richest man in the world today is associated with electric cars. Look at that invention.
Yeah.
Why? People want to save on fuel.
Yeah.
So you've got to. I have a very, very good example. Universities used to struggle during the elections. And where I come from, Machakos University, we also had our share of struggles. One of our engineering students came up with an app. And since that time, for the last couple of years now, we have been using that app
For the vote.
for voting. It's called iVoting app. We vote electronically. Students vote electronically. He looked and saw there was a problem. And the problem was because of manual voting,
Yes.
it was subject to a lot of fraud.
Yeah.
He came up with a solution. So that's product. In business, there are 3 things you can do. Sell the same product or improve the same product. Improve the same product, but improve. That is called innovation. Or come up with a new product to meet people's need. And then we have partnership that in investment, if you want to learn fast, walk alone. If you want to go far, learn with people. Partner with people. We call that joint investment. People who have made it.
Yes.
That's why companies start small, but before you realize, if they do very well, they are listed on the stock market. Why? You want to have partnership. You want people to invest in it. And we partner through 2 ways. In terms of investment and in terms of corporate social responsibility, giving back to society. And last but not least, performance. Have I done the 5 of them?
Yes,
Yeah,
partnerships and performance.
You've got to check the performance, even in terms of whatever, the 4 quadrants,
Yes.
be it employment or self-employment, be it the other one, big businesses. Performance is key. Even as you invest in several investment products, look at their performance. Don't invest blindly. Performance is a key in investment in whichever area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at how time flies. But thank you so much, Daktari. It's so much to learn in a very short period of time. I'm sure we have hardly scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's a lot. And that's why I actually came up with a book. I have a book called Financial Investment,
Okay,
where
okay.
the people can learn more. I have just scratched on the surface of
Okay.
financial investment.
All right. Thank you, Daktari. Just a few comments as we wrap it up. Thank you for the good work. This is Chris. Thank you for listening in. I thought Daktari was Daktari wa love peke yake. Kumbe he also knows financial matters. Thank you. Someone is learning and gaining a lot of knowledge on the matters concerning finances. Good morning to you. And when is the repeat? Okay, so now this one we're not going to repeat, but it's live on YouTube. So you can follow it up later. Watch and share with as many people as you possibly can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I can see another comment on our YouTube channel. A shout out to Dr. James Karau, was my lecturer at Dista University. He's a wealth of knowledge.
All right.
Wow.
Dr. Ari, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Your final remarks as we wrap it up.
Remarks.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bible says in the book of Colossians, not Colossians, but Ecclesiastes 9:11, the race is not to the swift, nor is the battle too strong, to the strong, but time and chance happen to them all. Wealth creation is done in the space of time. What are you doing with the time God has given us? If there is anything that God has given us in an equal measure, it is time, 24/7. Nobody can claim to have more than the other, as long as all of us are alive. Wherever you come from, whichever gender, whichever economic background, whichever country, what are you doing with that time? Time is non-renewable. Time is money. How are you investing in your time? Rich people invest wisely in time.
Wow.
Drops mic. That's powerful. And we end it right there. God allowing us, we'll continue this conversation another time. But that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time and same place. Sharon Aitore Wangenya.
Favored Frank is my name. Bye-bye.
Hope FM.
It's now 9 a.m.
Listen and live.
A revival is